You are listening to English Conversation Radio. Relax, listen, and learn.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to English Conversation Radio.
Episode 3, and today's topic is a fun one.
The best trip we ever took. We promised last time that we'd share some stories. And today, we finally will.
One trip each, my favorite and Emma's favorite.
And along the way, 5 new vocabulary words, as always.
So get comfortable, and let's travel a little just with our words. Okay, Emma. Before we start, let's talk about our first word, destination.
A destination is the place you're traveling to, the place where your trip ends or where you're going.
So when you think of the best trip you ever took, what destination comes to your mind first?
Instantly, a small fishing village on the coast. White houses, blue doors, boats in the harbor. I went there about 5 years ago, just before I moved back to my hometown.
I remember you talking about that trip.
It changed everything for me, actually. What about you? What's the first destination that comes to your mind?
For me, it's a mountain range, far from any city. No Wi-Fi, no roads, just trails, lakes, and peaks that go on forever.
Sounds like the perfect destination for a photographer.
It really was. Okay, should we tell the full stories now?
Let's do it. I'll go first. So, 5 years ago, I packed one small suitcase. That's our second word, by the way.
A suitcase is the bag you use to carry your clothes and things when you travel.
Right. One small suitcase, a notebook, and a one-way train ticket. I didn't book any hotels in advance. I just went.
That doesn't sound like the Emma who plans everything.
Ha ha ha, I know, but that's exactly why it felt like such an adventure. Our third word.
An adventure is an exciting experience, usually with some risk or uncertainty, something new and a little unpredictable.
So I arrived in this little fishing village late in the afternoon. The light was golden, the streets smelled like the sea, and I found a tiny guest house run by an old couple. They had one room left.
Perfect timing.
For the next 4 days, I didn't really do any sightseeing. Our fourth word.
Sightseeing means visiting famous places, like landmarks, monuments, or museums.
I know. Most people go to a new place and visit every famous spot, but I didn't. I just walked. I sat at the harbor and watched the fishermen come back with their boats. I drank coffee at the same tiny cafe every morning. I wrote in my journal for hours.
No famous landmarks at all?
Just one, an old lighthouse at the edge of the village. On my last evening, I walked there and watched the sunset. And honestly, that's the moment I remember most. Sitting on the rocks alone with the whole sky turning orange and pink.
That sounds incredible, Emma.
It was, and that's when I decided I didn't want a busy life anymore. I wanted this. Slow mornings, small places, time to just be. That trip is the reason I moved back to my hometown.
Wow. Okay, my story is a little different.
I'm ready.
About 3 years ago, I went to that mountain range I mentioned. My suitcase was actually a big backpack, much heavier than yours, Emma. Ha ha.
Ha ha, I believe it.
The plan was simple: hike for 5 days, camp by the lakes, and take photos along the way. But on day 2, the weather changed completely. Heavy rain, strong wind, and the trail just disappeared.
Disappeared?
Well, covered by fog. I couldn't see more than a few meters in front of me. For about 2 hours, I just sat under a big rock waiting for the fog to clear. No phone signal, nobody around, just me, the rain, and my thoughts.
That sounds a little scary, honestly.
It was for a moment, but then the fog started to move, and slowly, the clouds opened, and there it was. A lake, completely still, like a mirror, with the mountains reflected perfectly on the water. I'd never seen anything like it.
Did you take a photo?
Of course, it's still my favorite photo I've ever taken. But you know what's funny? I almost didn't get there. If the weather had been perfect, I probably would have walked past that spot without stopping.
So the hard part made the good part even better.
Exactly. And that's why, for me, it's the most memorable trip I've ever taken. Our fifth and last word.
Memorable means something you remember for a long time, often because it was special, unusual, or important.
That moment, the fog, the fear, and then that perfect lake. I think about it almost every week. It taught me something too. Sometimes the difficult parts of a trip become the best memories.
It's funny, Noah. Our trips are so different. Mine was slow and quiet. Yours was wild and a little dangerous.
True. But I think they both have something in common.
What's that?
Neither of us went sightseeing, really. No long lists of famous places. Just one or two real moments. A sunset by the lighthouse. A lake in the fog.
That's true. Maybe that's the secret. A trip doesn't need 100 photos or a long list of destinations. Sometimes one moment fully experienced is enough to make a whole trip memorable.
And both of our trips changed something in us too. Yours, it brought you home. Mine, it taught me to keep going, even when I can't see the path.
So, listeners, here's a little homework for you. Think about your own best trip. It doesn't have to be far or expensive or long. Just think about one moment from that trip. What made it memorable?
Hold on to that moment. We'll come back to it in the vocabulary corner.
All right, time for our vocabulary recap. Noah, want to start?
Sure. Word number 1, destination. A destination is the place you're traveling to.
Example. Emma's destination was a small fishing village by the sea.
Word number 2, suitcase. A suitcase is the bag you use to carry your things when you travel.
Example. Emma packed just one small suitcase for her trip.
Word number 3, adventure. An adventure is an exciting experience, often with some risk or surprise.
Example. Noah's hike turned into a real adventure when the weather changed.
Word number 4, sightseeing. Sightseeing means visiting famous places like landmarks or monuments.
Example. Emma didn't do much sightseeing. She preferred slow mornings at the cafe.
And word number 5, memorable. Memorable means something you remember for a long time, often because it was special.
Example. The lake in the fog was the most memorable moment of Noah's trip.
Now let's practice. I'll say a sentence. Repeat it after the pause. Our destination was a small village by the sea.
I packed a small suitcase and a notebook.
It turned into a real adventure.
We didn't do much sightseeing. We just relaxed.
It was the most memorable trip of my life.
Now think about your own trip and try to say one sentence about it using one of today's words.
Well, Emma, I think we've traveled enough for today.
We really have. Thanks so much for listening to our stories.
Here's your challenge for this week. Write a short paragraph, just 3 or 4 sentences, about the best trip you ever took. Try to use at least 2 of today's words: destination, suitcase, adventure, sightseeing, or memorable.
Remember, it doesn't need to be a big trip. Even a weekend somewhere close can be memorable.
Next time on English Conversation Radio, we'll talk about something a little different, our favorite ways to spend a weekend.
So bring your coffee and think about your perfect Saturday.
From me, Noah.
And me, Emma. Thanks for listening to English Conversation Radio.
See you next time.
Bye for now.